Hey, deserving listeners, it is time to watch 90 Day Fiancé. Let's watch the show.
Amira completed her 2 weeks in Serbia and was supposed to fly to America yesterday. I woke up this morning thinking I was going to pick up Amira at the airport, but instead I got a text saying she didn't get on the plane.
I think that I failed. I think that I up.
Okay, so we're getting a little bit more of some details, and we're getting some interesting side eye from the puppy. But Andrew is saying that she texted him saying she didn't get on the plane and that she had a panic attack. So that's some more detail. Was that just a panic attack about flying? Was it a panic attack about being with Andrew? Is it not actually a panic attack? A lot of people use the term panic attack when they mean they just had an emotional anxiety reaction. Panic attacks are really particular. I've had them. Believe me, they're very, very particular. You can have, and I've also had high anxiety moments as well that I would not characterize as panic attacks. Panic attacks are really something particular, believe me. And if you've ever been through them, and I know a percentage of you probably have, you know what I'm talking about. It's particular. It's awful. It's not just getting worried about something and going, oh no, what do we do? Anyway, so I don't know. Maybe we'll hear from Amira on that. And the other thing we're hearing from him is, I screwed up. This is all my fault. So we're starting to hear more, I think, of Andrew's traumas. When Amira was saying to him, look, if we have conflict, I don't want to have kids with you. And really, I don't want to be with you. If we don't have conflict, then I do want to be with you and I do want to have kids. All that he heard in that moment was, I'm not good enough. And it really hurt him, and he started saying these things that didn't make a lot of sense to us anyway watching, and it escalated the conflict with Amira. Instead of saying, yeah, you know what, I agree with you. If we have high conflict, yeah, we probably shouldn't be together and we shouldn't have kids. I agree with you. And if we get along well, then great, everything works out. But when you have tremendous abandonment trauma or abuse trauma or some kind of trauma that goes way back from when you're a kid, then when you hear any inkling of, I disapprove of you, or there's a chance that I might not want to be with you, that's all they can see. It's like someone saying, look, I am 95% sure I love you and I'm into you, but there's 5% that I'm not quite sure. Now, people without those relational abandonment traumas or some kind of relationship trauma growing up, what they'll hear is, that's great. 95%, that's a lot. But when you have those kinds of relational traumas that get triggered by that, all you see is that 5%, and that 5% eclipse the entire 95%. And all you can sense right now is rejection and pain and disapproval and loss, and I'm not good enough. And if I was good enough, she would be 100%. I'm failing again. I'm being rejected again. It's happening all over again. Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And then we see a little bit more of that right now, where she is not coming. She says, I didn't get on the plane. And instead of going, I wonder how she's doing, it's, I screwed up. I did it again. You kind of hear that in his voice of just like, here we go again. And then we see puppy side eye.
Just few hours before my flight to the US to finally reunite with the love of my life, Andrew calls me and picks a fight with me the whole night.
Okay. That makes sense. So, just before she was about to get on the plane, he calls and they have a huge fight. That was off camera. Probably related to the kid thing. And I'm guessing since the cameras were around, he became unhinged and it was very hard on her. And she decided, I can't do this. This hurts too much. I'm about to leave everything behind, and I don't want this life. So it's interesting.
Telling me it's not working out between us. We are not on the same page about having children. I am so hurt right now because Andrew is the man I want to spend my whole life with. and to be yelled at by him and to get mean text messages by him. I am in shock right now.
So I'm just going to take a guess and say that it was an extension of that past conflict they had last week, on the episode last week. And it's not necessarily about having kids. I think for him, what he is really worried about is those past traumas being recreated in the present. And the fact that she is ambivalent about having kids is a trauma for him. It triggers his trauma. And so he's laser focused on this thing of having kids. And so he probably called her up and said, I don't understand. I thought we were on the same page about having kids. How come you don't want to have kids with me? I thought you wanted to have kids. You promised, you told me, you deceived me. In the beginning, I'm just taking guesses based on what I've seen in my office. You deceived me. In the past, you told me that you were going to have kids with me and you led me on. I can't believe you did this to me. You're a lying person, this kind of thing. Now, on the surface, you think, what in the world is going on here, particularly if you're Amira? But as a therapist, I've seen this sort of thing. I've treated people who fit a profile similar to Andrew. I can't really know his profile because we only see little bits and pieces. But I've treated people who have traumas that go in from their history and their past, and they'll get triggered, and then they come out strong. They come out aggressive. They come out demanding. They come out controlling. They're desperate, they're hurt, they don't know what to do, and they're trying to retain attachment, and they're doing it in the only way they know how, which is a destructive method. And it certainly was destructive for Amira. We can clearly see the emotion.
I telling him, I love you, you know that, and it's not stopping. Then he texted me a ticket to go to Paris.
Yeesh. Oh, no. I mean, I don't know if I'm reading this right, but this is similar to what he said before, which is an emotional message of you either do what I tell you and you comply with everything that I say and you agree with everything that I want, or you're gone and go back home. I never want to see you again. I don't know if I'm reading that right, but we saw that before, kind of, I think, and we're starting to see it now. She's on at least according to her account, which we have to take her word for it. She's saying, I love you. I want to be with you. You seem like you seem to be telling me that I don't love you, but I do love you and I do want to be with you. And he's convinced he's hammering on the kid thing, and she's probably continuing to say, look, I don't know if I want to have kids with you. I'm just not sure yet. But I do know I want to be with you. You're the love of my life. She's even saying this, that's what she was saying to him. But it's not total control. Total control means you want to have kids with me because I want you to want to have kids with me. You're going to have kids with me because that symbolizes to me that you're all in. I need everything from you. I need you to be all in order for me to relax and trust that you love me. I need total control and total dominance and all of you. And without that, any tiny little bit of ambiguity is going to trigger, and this isn't conscious, is going to trigger my abandonment trauma, my rejection trauma, and I need to do everything to get rid of that. And the way that I have learned through watching or learning over time is to demand and control and give people ultimatums. That's the way I know how to manage my own relational trauma triggers. And so he gives her 2 tickets, says Paris or California, you choose. I think what he's saying is either go back home, or come over here and do everything I tell you, or fully commit, or whatever it is that he says consciously. But I think unconsciously what he's saying, and I think Amira is taking it this way, is either you forego your wants and your opinions, or you go home. I think that's what he's saying. Let's see if Amira can elaborate. What? Okay, so maybe Amira knows what that text has to do with, but what in the world does that mean? The children at the daycare are far better team players. You make your choices. What in the world does that one mean? Let's speculate. Meaning that he's saying, look, I have other people in my life that have a team attitude with me, meaning that when I tell them what to do, wow, that's interesting. Now that I'm going down that road of the children in my daycare, the 5-year-olds that I have a working relationship with, the parents that hire me and my mom to watch these kids, the 5-year-olds at my daycare are team players, meaning they do what they're told, right? Because presumably they're not on the same team. Presumably he's the coach, right? And they're the players. And is he equating in his mind Amira with a child? Or is there something? I mean, I'm just speculating. So maybe there's some other inside reasoning for why he would bring that up. Is that what he's saying? Yeesh.
I really did my best.
Okay, so we have the text here. Are you sure about it? You've been given a lot more rope to hang yourself with, so it's on you. Yeesh. The children at the daycare are far better team players. You make your choice. You shoot yourself in the foot. If you've got any talking to do, I strongly suggest you engage me now. My time is limited! Exclamation point. It's been 30 minutes from my initial offer to help. I have but 60 more seconds in me. Okay. I mean, so on one level, it's like, look, I need you to tell me what's going on. But I think this is in another direction, which is I'm just going to say it. It's a slight indication of an abusive style of relationship, a dominant, coercive style of relationship, where you push someone into a corner and it's all or nothing. You're either 100% in, meaning I get total control over you and you do everything I say, or you're out. Because let's remember, from what we understand, their conflict is, she is saying, I love you, you're the love of my life, I'm about to leave everything behind and come to where you live, marry you, give up my family, give up my country, give up my language, give up my culture to be with you. But I'm not entirely sure if I want to have kids with you because I don't know if we're going to fight or if we're not going to fight, but I want to give it a try. And according to him, he's like, look, either you changed your mind on that or else we're done. And I think he knows that if he pushes it, she'll give in, because I'm guessing that's been the pattern. Because Amira has signs of someone that's on the opposite side of that coin, which is someone that has a difficult time with assertiveness given her relational traumas. We saw the way the dad treated her a little bit. It was just a tiny little moment with the dad that seemed like he was also a little coercive. We can't really say that for sure at all because it was just this one sentence and we don't know if we misinterpreted it or I did. But anyway, so yikes.
Even though Andrew is telling me to go back to France, I did my quarantine. I did everything he asked me to. I'm so close to getting to the US to be with him, and I don't want to give up on us.
So I will say there is a way out of this. I have treated couples like this who have problems much bigger than this, actually. I've treated people who have a profile like Andrew. And I've helped them to understand their traumas and their triggers and help them to give other options of how to cope with it. And they quickly learn, wow, this feels a lot better. Instead of going down coercive controlling routes, which never results in satisfactory outcomes, and I never really even like to do it. It feels kind of bad when I'm doing it. You're telling me there's other ways. You're telling me that I'm valid in my feelings. Oh, I never really felt valid. You're telling me I was traumatized in my past. No one ever told me that. I just thought that was normal. And so there's another way to communicate about that actually gets me what I want, which is ultimately relationship, attachment, security. That's what I've always looked for. I've wanted someone I could depend on, a loyal person that I could depend on. I've never had that in my life. You're telling me there's another way to get that? Now, it might take years to work on that, but I've done that work with people. It's possible. So if I'm reading Andrew right, which I have no idea if I am, I really just want to emphasize that. I know enough about people to understand that it takes a long time to assess them. I really just don't know. But if there is at least a slight bit of coercive issue, then it's not a lost cause. There's a way out of that. And I've treated a lot of people like that before. And people like that typically do have empathy. They do care. They just don't know how to deal with the situation when their traumas are being triggered, and they have one option available to them, and they keep using that option. And then later on, they're terribly ashamed. In that face we saw him in, he's just like, I did it again. I screwed up. And I believe that he actually is ashamed in that moment, because they usually are ashamed. And kudos to him to actually recognize that. A lot of people in his position be, I'm not ashamed, and then be a tough guy. He's saying, oh, I made a mistake, or at least that's the way it appears. All right, well, that does it for that episode. Everyone out there, please take care of yourself, because you deserve it. You really, really do.